This is a standard cricket ball. It has a diameter of 7 centimetres, and believe it or not, it's smaller than some of the hail that's been falling over Queensland over the last fortnight. The Weather Bureau calls it giant hail, and it's caused carnage across Queensland, particularly in the southeast and surrounding regions.
That's the size of the hail we got.
So giant hail's hail in excess of 5 centimetres. We've certainly had multiple days across that. And some of these towns have actually been impacted by multiple hailstorms even over the same day.
Anthony Cornelius and Nick Thompson provide an independent weather service which involves tracking the dangerous storm cells that produce giant hail.
So this was Saturday the 1st of November where we saw quite a significant supercell move up through western areas of southeast Queensland. And as I was driving up there, we saw significant damage along the road. Lots of shredded leaves on the ground. We saw hail covering hills. It looked like snow, to be honest, and I hadn't seen that before.
So I thought the amount of hail that dropped is actually quite unusual. I think just sort of goes to demonstrate exactly how intense this storm was.
It was up to 60 centimetres deep. All of the stones were often 2 centimetres or bigger in diameter. And then when I got into Esk, I saw a lot of the damage that had occurred. So we had shattered windscreens on cars, we had large hailstones with dints in the ground that had created almost craters. And I saw a number of people who seemed to also unfortunately be injured by hail at a school fete on the Oval. So it was quite confronting, to be honest, but you know, it was a very significant storm that moved through the region.
So what kind of storms produce giant hail, and where should we expect them to show up?
Essentially with hail, we need very, very strong updrafts. So we consider if we have, say, a cricket ball hailstone in there, generally those updrafts have to be pushing upwards about 150, 170 kilometres an hour to keep that hailstone suspended in the atmosphere. Once the updraft can no longer sustain or hold those hailstones, they begin to fall to the ground. Traditionally, what we expect is that in the short term, a lot of that is going to be concentrated across southern Queensland and northern New South Wales. But as the season progresses and we move further into summer, traditionally we start to see that sort of hail belt or that region that hail is favoured to actually begin to track southwards.
Halloween's not surviving.
Those severe storms followed weeks of intense heat and waves of extreme weather experienced right across the country. From October's record-breaking temperatures and long, hot, dry spells to the wild winds witnessed in Victoria and Tasmania. Anthony Cornelius predicts this summer will be hotter than usual, but not as dry.
We are going to see those climate drivers, which are certainly favouring the increased levels of humidity, begin to dominate across Australia. The other factor that we're also looking at too is those very warm ocean temperatures surrounding the country as well. So we've had record warm ocean temperatures now for the past 6 to 12 months, and that also tends to correlate with above average rainfall.
In Melbourne, these experts have the tough job of predicting how those weather patterns will affect fire behaviour and advising emergency services so they can best prepare.
Because you don't have a crystal ball to know exactly what the weather will do, but you know the things leading up to it.
Nationally, the threat of fire is constantly changing, and that's really clear to see when you look at the mapping from Australia's Council for Fire and Emergency Services. Cycling through the seasons over the past 3 years, the risk dramatically shifts season to season, influenced by factors like fuel loads, where rain falls, where vegetation grows, and where the most intense heat is expected or has a sustaining impact. This is the most recent map for spring, identifying parts of WA and South Australia and a large portion of Victoria.
Wow, kangaroo!
You have to prepare every year in Australia. That's just the reality of it, and it's hard to keep, you talk about that message every year. But if there was ever going to be a year that you said, I should have my plan or I have to dust it off and have a chat to my family about what I'm going to do, what's changed, this is the year to do it because we've got one of the precursors in parts of Victoria and South Australia, which is that long-term deep drying. Many of our worst fire disasters in our history are on the back end of these long dry periods where the deeper soils get dry, therefore the bigger vegetation is under stress.
In many states, authorities haven't done as many hazard reduction burns as they'd have liked, with unfavourable weather preventing them from getting the job done.
There's always a challenge with the amount of mitigation work that we can do depending on the weather. We no longer have a mitigation period when we're talking about preparedness for the higher risk bushfire season. So we look at mitigation activities all year round. We do need to be mindful, I guess, that we have significant grass growth as a consequence of the rainfall, but that doesn't take away the risk in our bushland areas as well.
Look, it's always a challenge to compare it to another season. Sometimes you just need one event just to sort of tilt things in a different direction.
After all, forecasting the weather is kind of like playing cricket on a dodgy pitch. You never really know what the next delivery is going to bring.